Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We'll be starting in just a moment, so if you can begin to find your seats, we thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll begin to find your seats, please, we will be starting momentarily. Thank you.
Is red on or mute?
Okay. Audio check 1, 2. Good morning and welcome to the Florida Institute of Technology. We're glad to have you joining us on this very auspicious day here in person, as well as we have many folks joining us in our online stream too. I'm Wes Sumner, Vice President for Executive Communications here at Florida Tech, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this important announcement today by Florida Tech and the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. We have several speakers for you this morning who will help outline this important announcement. And our agenda is to have individual speakers first, and then we'll open up for questions at the end of our time together, and those will be fielded by our leaders here on the stage. Please allow me to introduce them to you. First, Mr. Robert King, Florida Tech Interim President. Mr. John Hummer, co-founder, executive board director, and president of Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. Dr. Bill Peratt, Chief Academic Officer and Dean and Executive Vice President of Academic Services for the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, and Dr. Minay Subasi, Florida Tech Associate Provost, who is graciously filling in today for our Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Marco Carvalho. And I believe Dr. Subasi has a quick message.
Thank you, Dr. Sumner. So I'm very pleased to represent Dr. Carvalho and his office today. Unfortunately, he's unable to join us, and we thank you for being here and for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Subasi. And now, it's my pleasure to bring up to the podium Travis Proctor. He's a Florida Tech alumnus and accomplished business leader. Mr. Proctor was elected chairman of the Florida Tech Board of Trustees in 2021, having served on the board since 2012. As a sophomore in 1995, he founded Artemis IT, an information technology company that has since grown to prominence on the Space Coast and far beyond. Mr. Proctor is a respected community leader, having given his time and expertise to a number of organizations, including our local chambers of commerce, Brevard Workforce Development, as well as the Economic Development Commission of Florida's Space Coast. Please welcome our Board of Trustees Chairman, Travis Proctor.
Thank you, Wes. Everybody needs to be introduced by Wes at least once, so you can go through that. I'm going to record that for my 11-year-old who thinks I'm getting dumber as the days go by, so it'd be nice to have that. Anyway, appreciate you all joining us today. As Wes said, my name's Travis Proctor. I'm chairman of the Board of Trustees here at Florida Tech, and we're really pleased to welcome you here on this important day. Allow me to extend my personal thanks to Mr. Hummer and the team at Burrell for your friendship and for the work to make this come to fruition, and also to the entire Florida Tech administrative team who have worked tirelessly many hours to make this important affiliation possible. It's been a lot of work, but we know that it's going to be worth it. This relationship brings with it a much-needed medical school to Florida. It brings Brevard County its first medical school, a critical resource when you consider that it is determined that Florida will be short approximately 18,000 physicians by 2035. Additionally, this is a tremendous opportunity for Brevard County and for the Space Coast to have the resources of a world-class medical school right here on campus. Meeting the educational needs of the day is what Florida Tech was founded to do 65 years ago, when we started as a night school for the technicians at Cape Canaveral as they were looking to upskill their abilities during the space race. That mission continues today. Yes, we're doing it with new partners and new cutting-edge technology, but that core commitment to innovate and to education remains at the heart of what Florida Tech does. We know that osteopathic medicine is one of the fastest growing healthcare professions. In fact, today, 1 in 4 medical students in the U.S. are training towards osteopathic medicine. Florida Tech has a long history of innovating and understanding what it takes to be at the forefront of making these educational dreams a reality. Today, we embark on a new adventure to do this and to help those students with those life-changing educations. We're excited about what this means for the community. We're excited about what this means for Florida Tech, and most of all, we're excited about what this means for our students. Thank you again for taking the time and joining us today for this very exciting announcement. Wes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Joining us at the podium next will be Florida Tech's interim president, Robert King, who joined us on campus last July. Mr. King has extensive experience in higher education management, in addition to a background in law and elected public service. In 2000, he was selected to serve as chancellor of the State University of New York, or SUNY system, a 64-campus public university and community college network, serving at that time more than 415,000 degree-seeking students. In 2009, Mr. King was appointed president of the Kentucky Council of Post-Secondary Education, serving 8 public universities, 16 community and technical colleges, and 20 private and independent institutions. In 2018, Mr. King was nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by a bipartisan vote of the U.S. Senate to serve as the Assistant Secretary for Post-Secondary Education in the U.S. Department of Education. Please welcome Florida Tech Interim President Robert King.
Well, Wes, thank you, and thank all of you for joining us this morning. It is a great morning here in Melbourne and here on this campus. I want to start by acknowledging the remarkable leadership that this university enjoys because of the guy that spoke just before me, Travis Proctor. Everywhere I go in this community, he is among the most well-known and well-liked and much admired residents of Melbourne and Brevard County, and most importantly, here on this campus. So, Travis, it's been a joy for me to work with you and get to know you, and this campus benefits from your leadership every day. There are a number of other trustees that I believe are here or are coming. Bill Potter, who I see, we shared seats at the basketball game last night. Panthers won, by the way, over Embry-Riddle. Yeah, applause. Kendall Moore, I hope, is joining us. I haven't seen him yet. Johnny Swan and Dr. David Weldon. There's Johnny. And David and I had dinner the other night, but I don't see him yet, but I know he's planning on being here. Thank you all. I also want to recognize these remarkable educators who lead our colleges and our library. John Harris, Dean of Engineering and Science, Bob Taylor, who heads up our psychology and liberal arts and all that kind of stuff, Ted Richardson, who leads our business school, John Deaton, who leads our aviation program, and Nancy Garmer, who runs this remarkable library. But we're delighted to have you all here as well. Great things happen through great relationships, and Florida Tech is proud of the relationships that we have with our elected leaders serving at every level of government. And we're particularly delighted that Barry Cotton, representing Senator Scott, is here with us. And State Representative Randy Fine has joined us, and you'll get to hear from Randy at the end of the program. Our elected officials have been incredibly supportive of this initiative as we have had an opportunity to introduce John and his team to the community and to our leaders. David, we just introduced you, but we're glad you made it. David Weldon. The Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine is a great fit for Florida Tech, and the timing is perfect, and let me explain why to you. First, as always, our people, as we know, Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine has some of the very best of the osteopathic physicians who will be training the next generation of osteopathic physicians. But here at FIT, 14 faculty members associated with this university were named to the 2022 lists from Stanford that compile the top 2% of scientists worldwide. Their innovative research has earned them worldwide acclaim. 14 of our faculty are on that list. Second, our programs. We have 6 pre-medical studies options for students that exemplify our heritage of cutting-edge STEM education and our growing biomedical and health sciences program. The courses in pre-med vary depending on which of 6 majors they choose: biochemistry, chemistry, biomedical engineering, biomedical science, genomics, and molecular genetics, and pre-medical physics. For biology students, for example, there are lectures and laboratories in anatomy, microbiology, genetics, and more. In chemistry, students explore courses including analytical and physical chemistry, while physics students take advanced courses in modern physics, thermodynamics, and optics. And upper-level biomedical engineering majors explore biomechanics and biomedical measurements and instrumentation, and take courses in biomedical engineering design. Third, our facilities. You need look no further than our brand new Gordon L. Nelson Health Science Building, which allows us to nearly double the number of undergraduate biomedical engineering and pre-med students we can enroll in order to meet surging demand. This 61,000 square foot facility enhances the university's capacity for undergraduate and graduate education and research with state-of-the-art laboratories, augmented and virtual reality teaching tools, and facilities for orthopedics, tissue studies, and advanced computational simulations. The notion of having all of these doctors here on this campus to collaborate with our researchers who are doing this kind of research creates some remarkable opportunities, not just for the university, but for the global community. Because I am confident that the things that they will discover, the things that they will develop and produce will have an impact on the delivery of healthcare in the years to come. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one other way that Burrell and Florida Tech are well aligned. Graduates from both go on to great careers. John will share with you, as he has with us, that nearly 100%, I think the number is 99.5%, that's about as close as you can get, of Burrell graduates have been successfully placed into medical and surgical residency training programs. Meanwhile, here at Florida Tech, we have surged in the latest edition of the influential Global Employability University Ranking and Survey. 1,000 universities and higher ed institutions worldwide were examined before the top 250 were determined. Over 100,000 employers, HR professionals, and corporate recruiters were surveyed. On that list of 250, only 2 Florida schools made the list. No surprise, the University of Florida ranked 34th among the American universities, 34th. This little place called Florida Tech ranked 17th. So, when the report came out, there were a number of comments, but included in those comments was one that linked Arizona State, Carnegie Mellon, the University of California at Berkeley, and Georgia Tech in the same breath with Florida Tech. So we are very proud of this, and I think you can have confidence that both what Burrell will be doing in the years to come and what we will be doing and what we'll be doing together will be to launch these brilliant young people into successful, important careers in the years ahead. Now I'd like to bring up our key partner in this new relationship. John Hummer is the co-founder, executive board director, and president of Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, located in Las Cruces, New Mexico. BCOM was founded in 2013 and admitted its first class in 2016. And John led the efforts to obtain the necessary support from regional healthcare providers, as well as to secure the funding. John has over 25 years of executive leadership experience in the hospital industry, as well as academic teaching hospitals and medical schools. He's developed, expanded, and led hospitals in Las Vegas, Washington, D.C., New Orleans, Fort Lauderdale, and Las Cruces. He has a long list of civic leadership recognitions. One accolade of note relates to what we do here on the Space Coast. John was the co-chairman of the political action entity People for Aerospace, which led the successful special election in 2007 in the state of New Mexico to win passage of the gross receipts tax to fund the construction of Spaceport America, the nation's first purpose-built commercial space force where Virgin Galactic is the anchor tenant. It's worth noting that a guy named Mike Moses, who is the CEO of Virgin Galactic, is a Florida Tech alum and resides in Las Cruces and has a positive relationship with John and Burrell. So there's a lot of connections that exist already. As far as we're concerned, John is already a member of the Florida Tech extended family. Please join me in welcoming John Hummer.
Thank you, Bob, very much for that warm introduction. And what a great day to be in Melbourne and to be on the campus of Florida Tech. It's a beautiful day here. First, we're just full of gratitude. And what I'd like to do first is just to express our thanks. Obviously to you, Bob, President King, Chairman Proctor, the entire team here at Florida Tech. I want to acknowledge and thank. Too many to mention, but for every visit we've had here, that the hospitality, the professionalism, the relationships that we've built, it's impressive. And I just want to thank every one of you for your support. And then the greater spaceport community, Brevard County. This is the Space Coast is a spaceport. You got me on the spaceport. The Space Coast of Brevard County. We've met a lot of individuals, elected officials, civic leaders, community leaders. You've been terrific, friendly, hospitable, so thank you for your support. We look forward to working with you well into the future as we move forward. I want to recognize members of our team that are here today. We have one of our trustees from our Board of Trustees, Dr. Nick Turkle is here. Nick is here, and he resides on the other side of the peninsula 6 months out of the year, so he's half Floridian, so great to have him. Our dean, who was introduced earlier, Bill Peratt. Dr. Don Pesca, who's our former dean, but he's our chief academic officer, and he's serving as the interim dean as we develop this campus, and we could not have anybody better and more experienced with us to do that. Dr. Amit Sharma, who is our regional assistant dean, who is over the clerkships, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. Dr. Lee Scheinbart, who many of you know, he's a long-standing physician. He is retired from Health First, and he is working with us as Regional Development Officer, and we are just so pleased to have him on our team. Our Associate Vice President of Enrollment Services and Institutional Effectiveness, Nina Nunez, is here. Our Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs, Vanessa Richardson, is here. Jeff Harris, who's our Associate Vice President of Administration and our Chief Information Officer. Morgan Carvalho, who's our coordinator of our Regional Academic Center in Rockledge, is here. And given that we're live streaming and we could not have everybody here, but I do want to recognize everyone back home at our campus in Las Cruces, our faculty, our staff, and our students. We have an outstanding faculty. We'll be expanding that faculty here on the campus, an outstanding support team, and I just want to recognize them and thank them for everything that they do, because that's why we're here, and that's as a result of their work. But most importantly is our medical students. That is our purpose. That's why we were founded, and that's why we're here today. And we have some of our students that are here in Florida. For the last 3 years, we've had a regional academic center where our students have done their 3rd and 4th year rotations, clinical rotations. And I'm going to introduce our students that are here, and I'd ask them just to stand up. Magid Abdo. Okay. Badr Almadi, back there raising his hand. Ratika Galeka, there, raising her hand, hello. Rivka Hughes, Rivka. Savine Pillai, I see the hand back there, good. Emmanuel Romeo, welcome. Anna Struhar, who you'll hear from shortly. Milton Tan, Milton. Faith Thomas, and Jacob Whitney. Jacob, let's give them a round of applause for being here. So let me just talk a little briefly about who are we and why did we end up in Florida. As it was mentioned, we were founded in 2013, and it was a true grassroots effort, very similar to what is being done here with our regional healthcare partners, our stakeholders, our community partners. And we were founded on a mission to recruit, educate, train, and put forth the next generation of physicians, primarily that would go into primary care, underserved areas. And also our mission is deep in diversifying the physician workforce to better represent the fabric of the society that we serve. 2016 was the first class that we admitted. We graduated our first class in 2020. We've graduated 3 classes since. 65% have gone into primary care. Of that graduating class, we have, of those first 3 graduating classes, we have 25 of our graduates that are actually doing their residencies here in the state of Florida. And the unique thing about when you do your residencies in Florida, one of the statistics that we always like to remind everybody is that if you go to medical school in the same state that you do a residency, Florida ranks at one of the top in the country, 78.8% retention. 78.8%. You go to medical school in Florida, you do a residency in Florida, there's almost an 80% chance that you're going to stay in Florida. That's fantastic. So why Florida? What we're doing today is not unique. This has been done throughout the country. You heard about the growth of osteopathic medical schools. Over 80% of osteopathic medical schools are private medical schools, meaning not state-funded public institutions. And what that allows is a lot of creativity and agility and not to be bound by state boundaries. And so when there's opportunities throughout the nation with healthcare partners, community partners, educational partners to address a need, we can move fast. Although we started in 2016, but I'll talk about that in a second. And COVID had a little bit to do with slowing down on that. So we are doing what the osteopathic profession has done for decades, and we're proud to do that. So how did we get here? It started back in 2016. Remember, we opened then. But the introductions through mutual acquaintances was in 2016. And the 2 individuals that I want to recognize that are here today is Frank Kinney and former Congressman Dr. Dave Weldon. If you'd stand up, and let's give them a round of applause. They were the individuals, they were the connectors. They were the ones that introduced our team to Florida Tech. And we could not thank you enough for that. And through our discussions, not only with Florida Tech, who then introduced us to regional healthcare stakeholders, which we cannot thank enough for their support as well, we were invited to pursue what's known as an additional location, a 4-year campus. They believed in our mission. We had shared goals, and we said, we have to get our first class graduated, so we were methodically and with a purpose planning this for quite some time. And over the last several years, post-COVID, we accelerated that. This last year, we signed the affiliation agreement with Florida Tech, which I'll talk about here in a moment as well. So we are so glad that we can be here today making this announcement as we kick off 2023. It's been a while in the making, but well worth the time. So let me tell you a little bit about Florida. You heard some statistics about Florida, and why we're so humbled and pleased to be here is that Florida as a state ranks number 3 in our applicant pool. We receive about like many medical schools, due to the demand, we receive about 4,000 applicants a year. Of that, the 3rd highest applicant pool is from Florida. And I mentioned about the graduates that are already in residencies. That will only increase once we actually have a 4-year campus here as well. So it was a natural to do that to meet the need of the student body that was coming from the state of Florida. And you heard about kind of the shared story of our history. I think there's a lot of, from the times that I've been coming out here, I think there's some similarity between southern New Mexico and Brevard County. Typically, all the white coats, all the focus on medical education was taking place in our state up north. In this state, more of the resources are in other parts of the state, which is not unusual. But then you look at, is there the possibility to create something new? And when we started this in 2013, you can imagine, it was like, wait a minute, a medical school in Las Cruces, New Mexico. But through community engagement, healthcare stakeholders, we were able to make that a reality. And I think the same thing holds true here, and we're very excited to be part of this journey. So let me tell you a little bit about the affiliation agreement. The additional location, which is proposed, we're going through the accreditation process, which is going very well. It's a natural process that all the medical schools go through. The student body count will be 100 students per class. Our goal is to start the first class in July of 2024. And the affiliation agreement is very similar to the affiliation agreement that we did in New Mexico with New Mexico State University. We'll physically be on the campus. The L3 Harris Commons building is where we will be located. We'll be doing a lot of renovations, bringing that, all the labs, the spaces, a lot of the design that goes with the medical school will be done there. The library services, we will be able to utilize the library at Florida Tech through our relationship with Florida Tech. Student housing will be afforded, student dining, the health center, and it's really how you can collaborate versus duplicate resources. And so we're very glad to be part of that. And we'll talk more of that during the Q&A if you have any questions on that as well. So now I'm going to switch to the best part of my presentation is I'm going to have two individuals come up because it really represents why we're here. The first person I would like to have come up is Dr. John Potomsky. John, if you would stand up here and make your way, let me just say a few words. So John, I'm sure many of you may know Dr. Potomsky already. He is the longest acting osteopathic physician in Brevard County, 40 years and counting and still practicing. Let's give him a round of applause. So he is the trailblazer. He represents, somebody who came to this community as an osteopathic physician and has done a tremendous job. And so with that, I'm going to have him say a few words, and then I'm going to introduce our final speaker on our team, and then I'll turn it back to you, Bob. So, thanks.
Thank you, President Hummer. And as mentioned, my name is John Potomsky, and I currently serve as president of District 16 of the Florida Osteopathic Medical Association, as well as chairman of the Brevard County Commission on Aging. And as the senior osteopathic physician in Brevard County, it is a great honor and privilege to be here today. When I came to Brevard County 40 years ago, there were only 4 active osteopathic physicians, 3 of whom have gone to their eternal reward, and 1 having retired many years ago. I am therefore very excited about the future of osteopathic medicine in Brevard County with the development of a 4-year medical school here on the campus of the Florida Institute of Technology. The Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine will educate the next generation of truly holistic physicians, enabling them to provide physical, mental, and spiritual care to their patients. In addition to traditional medicine, surgery, pediatrics, obstetrics, and gynecology, DOs are also trained in osteopathic diagnosis and treatment. Personally, I don't know how I could practice holistic medicine without this added dimension and skill, and I'm grateful for it every day. Historically, the majority of osteopathic medical school graduates choose a career in primary care. Currently, 25% of our local population is over the age of 60, and this number continues to grow. As medical director at Brevard Geriatrics and chairman of the Brevard County Commission on Aging, I look forward to encouraging the BCOM graduates to choose a practice pathway in geriatrics. As you can see, this is a much-needed medical service in our community. So on behalf of the Florida Osteopathic Medical Association, it's my honor and privilege to welcome the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine at Florida Tech to Brevard County and to the state of Florida. Healthcare is vital to the growth and sustainability of our county and our great state. It's refreshing to see institutions like Florida Tech playing an integral role in Florida's economic future, investing in high quality and professional healthcare workforce for the future. Again, congratulations on this wonderful achievement.
Before I bring up our next speaker, one other statistic I'd like to share with the group today. ties to the person that I'm going to have come up, and that is the number of students from Florida, Floridians, that are admitted into an osteopathic medical school. The most recent data from our Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine, which was from 2021, and it'll be updates annually, but in 2021, there were 702 Floridians who were admitted into an osteopathic medical school nationwide. And of that, 439 left the state to go to a medical school, an osteopathic medical school, and were admitted, which is understandable because there is the demand. And obviously it speaks to the need of additional medical school seats in Florida. And then it ties back to that 78.8% number that I mentioned as well before on that. So it's all part of that retention of the Florida students that are here. One student who came to New Mexico grew up in Melbourne, is from Melbourne. And I'm sure if we could go into the future and change her age and we were open, she probably would be a first-year student staying in Florida. But she came to New Mexico. But she came to our regional academic center as a third and fourth year medical student. So please welcome student doctor Anna Struhar, who is a fourth year medical student from Melbourne, Florida. Anna, come up. Thanks.
All right. Good morning, everyone. As I said, my name is Anna Struhar. I'm a fourth year at Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, and I'm currently completing my clinical rotations here at the Space Coast Regional Academic Center. As a Florida native who was born right here in Melbourne, I could not be more excited about this partnership between Florida Tech and my medical school to bring a new four-year medical school here to Brevard County. As I was choosing a medical school, one of the biggest things that really stood out to me about Burrell was how supportive the faculty and staff were and their genuine interest in student success. And over the last 4 years, I have really seen that proven to be true. Not only have they trained me academically to be successful as a physician, but they have also helped cultivate my leadership skills, really instilled in me the osteopathic principle of treating the whole person, not just their illness, and have also given me ample opportunity for community outreach. Having spent years of my life just down the road from Florida Tech, I'm well aware of their excellent reputation, particularly in the areas of STEM. And so I'm really excited to see them continue to expand upon that and start a four-year medical school right here in my hometown. It's honestly just a surreal experience to see the medical school that I've grown to love over the last 4 years come together with my hometown. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds, not only for Brevard County, but the entire state of Florida. So, thank you guys.
Thank you, Anna, and that's what it's all about. And again, we could not be more excited to be part of the Space Coast, to be part of this community. We look forward to growing with you, getting to know many of you after this during the reception, and building that relationship going forward. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hummer. Well, progress is powered by partnership, and at this time, we'd like to ask a few words Representative Randy Fine to step to the podium. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a very exciting day for me for two reasons. First, I am the state representative that represents Florida Tech, and over the last 6 years, we have brought millions of dollars right here to this university. Not an easy feat for a private university competing with 12 public universities in the state of Florida for resources. But I'm also here because I was just appointed in the last few months the chairman of Health and Human Services for the Florida House. So I run healthcare policy for the state of Florida. And one of my priorities over the next 2 years is to address the critical shortage that we will have of medical professionals. See, it's happening for a number of reasons. It's not only that our population is aging, but it is growing. And if you look at the types of people who are moving to Florida, the state in the nation where more people are moving than anywhere else, you have to look at the types of people who move here. I moved here in 2006. I was an entrepreneur. I could live anywhere I wanted in the United States as long as there was a runway that I could fly out of. But many medical professionals have much greater roots to the community that they are in. If you're a primary care physician, you have a book of business. It's not just so easy to get up and move to another state. So the types of people who are moving here may not be bringing with them the types of medical professionals who are relocating, which is making our shortage even more acute. So that's why what is being done here today is so important. And so I'm excited because I get to call the speaker and the governor this afternoon and say, look, I've only had the job for 2 months and we're already opening a new medical school. So thank you guys for being here. Congratulations. And I'm really excited to work with you all over the next few years. Congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Representative Fine. Well, now we come to the part in our program where we open it for questions and answers from our distinguished panel of leaders here on the front. We have microphones that we will pass amongst. If you'll just raise your hand and we will acknowledge you with a microphone, and we'll be happy to address any questions related to this new affiliation. Who has the first question? Dr. Weldon.
What is the status on developing graduate medical education opportunities for graduating medical school graduates from Burrell as well as other schools in terms of Brevard County and the general Central Florida region?
Thank you for the question, Congressman Weldon, Dr. Weldon. We have been in discussions with healthcare facilities in the community about graduate medical education. Those discussions take time. There's a lot of discernment that goes on with that. We do have some levels of interest in the community to do that. If you compare back to New Mexico back in 2013 when we were starting, and since then, we have been able to work with healthcare partners to develop brand new residencies in the region as well. So we have staff on board. We have an associate dean of graduate medical education whose expertise is GME. He's been out here in the past and had conversations with some of the healthcare partners. So we stand ready to work with them to do that, but it takes both parties to sit down and go through this step in the process. But I think there's positive vibes, if I could say that, in the community to do that. I'll let Dr. Pratt speak generally about residencies and general placement of residencies, even the existing residencies without the new residencies. I'll let him speak to that. So.
Sure. Thanks, John. And Dr. Weldon, thanks for the question. The reality right now is, in spite of the proliferation of both allopathic and osteopathic medical schools, while we recognize the need to expand residencies in every medical and surgical specialty, there are currently enough graduate medical education spots to train every U.S. medical graduate on the osteopathic and the allopathic side of the house. So we want to help expand that, and as President Hummer said, we have begun conversations with various clinical affiliates, and as we gauge their interest, we want to provide the resources from Burrell's side in order to walk them through the process, because as you know, it is a process of applying for eligibility and sponsorship, and we want to help facilitate that GME growth in addition to our undergraduate medical education growth in Florida.
Wes?
Next question, yes.
I just want to add one comment. In the several of the experiences that I've had so far in meeting with people in the medical community, I think there's a great enthusiasm among Brevard County physicians to take on and create more residency opportunities. I think many of our local doctors, whether they're osteopaths or allopaths, would love to teach and train physicians post-graduation from medical school. So I think those opportunities will grow here, because I sense the enthusiasm within the community of physicians to do that. So I think, I don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but I think we'll see some hatch in the near future.
Another question. Apparently, we've answered all the questions. No more questions? Okay.
Thanks. Can you talk a little bit more about the actual physical facility, the staffing, square footage, some of these details, like number of laboratories, classrooms, and so forth?
I'll give a high level. I'm going to let Dr. Pratt talk about some of the specifics of the different training areas. But the L3 Harris Commons, it's both floors. I believe it's 40,000 square feet. Is that right, Jeff? 40,000 square feet to start the renovations will be ongoing. Actually, we're expending resources as we speak. And Florida Tech is relocating and renovating space. And then once they get into their new space, then we'll be renovating L3 Harris Commons. So in addition to the 40,000 square feet, we have access to the library, which I don't have the total square footage of the library, but there's plenty of readiness to serve among the library for study space as well. And so I'll let Dr. Pratt talk about the specifics that will be in the L3 as far as the different training areas on that.
So what we will have in the L3 Harris Commons building is we'll have 2 classrooms, one for each of the first and second year classes, and then we'll have lab space for our anatomy lab, our osteopathic manipulative medicine lab, and our clinical skills lab. And then we will also have kind of student space for breaks, for study space, in addition to the library space and the other facilities that our students will have access to. But those 2 floors in the L3 Harris Commons building will accommodate our faculty, the support staff that will be on the ground here in Melbourne, as well as our students.
And the standardized patient.
Yeah, the clinical skills lab area will also include a simulation program with both high fidelity teaching mannequins and task trainers, as well as a standardized patient program where our students will see standardized mock patients in clinical scenarios as part of their preclinical education before they start rotations.
I just want to add on the facility side, the challenge here on campus was to be able to find space to move our both faculty and administrative staff who are working in Harris Commons. Dr. Carvalho, our deans, our faculty, and a guy by the name of Brian Leslie have been doing a remarkable job both finding space for people, facilitating the moves. Faculty are tolerating it, and I thank them for that. But it has been it's been a labor of love, but no less a labor. It's been a complicated set of challenges to find adequate and appropriate space for everybody that needs it. But it's working, and it's been great for us working with John and Bill and their team to make this happen.
I also had a question. Talk a little bit about the staffing for the college and so forth. Is it going to be all Burrell, or will it be Florida Tech support, like a hybrid mixture? I'm just trying to see if I can describe that.
It is a hybrid. As an additional location, we do share resources between both campuses on that. The leadership, we don't duplicate leadership, but we will have leadership on campus here as well in faculty. And I'll let Dr. Pratt speak specifically about the integration between our faculty in Las Cruces, the faculty here, as well as possibly working with faculty here at Florida Tech on that.
So there will be dedicated Burrell faculty. We've got a plan for approximately 9 full-time faculty, and then there is the community physician element to that, where we will have community physicians who have expressed interest in teaching our students on campus, in addition to in their clinical environments. So that faculty will be present. Support staff will be a hybrid, as you say. There will be some support provided directly here in Melbourne by Burrell employees, and then there will be some shared services that are centralized from Las Cruces, and then some hybrid services where rather than duplicating student services and so forth, we utilize Florida Tech support services. So we'll have a hybrid model with both institutions providing support for our students.
I believe the number, once we're at full ramp up with a full 4 years, will be right at 50 faculty and support staff combined on that as well. And the economic development numbers, if you're with the media, are you with the media? Yes. I can get you the economic development numbers. We have some numbers on that shows the actual economic contribution into the Brevard County. I have a number on my mind, but I don't want to misquote it, but I'll get you that number on that. But we also, in the brochures that you all picked up, we also had the economic development impact of when you bring additional physicians into the community. We really wanted to focus on that economic development impact because that is a significant impact that is made not only in Brevard County but in the state of Florida. So I would ask you to look at that number of what new physicians bring into a community. It's much larger and greater than just the medical school itself, but it's the byproduct of what we're doing on that.
Okay. Question here.
Also a media member, so
Okay.
I know the initial class will be 100 people, but do you guys have an expectation of how that could grow or shift as you guys admit additional classes?
Good question. That really depends on the growth of the community, the growth of the medical community, other stakeholders. As for the same reason that we are in Florida as an additional location, and there's other medical schools in Florida that do additional locations. There are other parts of the state where students rotate and do rotations, clinical rotations. So right now we have not forecasted beyond 100 students per class. But those type of planning, they happen on an annual basis with the Board of Trustees. And by the way, there will be 2 board members on our Board of Trustees, the president of Florida Tech and 1 appointee by the president of Florida Tech. So they will be part of our strategic planning process. And then it really comes down to our local stakeholders and the growth of the community. And then you plan accordingly. But right now we're planning at 100 students.
The other thing that I would add is that the number of students in a class is also set by our accrediting body, and that'll be 100. The process to apply for a class size increase requires us to graduate that first class. So for at least that first 4-year window, we're set at 100. Beyond that, it would be a matter of feasibility and then accreditation, us getting permission for that class size expansion.
I might just add, part of the agreement that we have reached includes essentially a predetermined pathway for FIT students who would like to go to medical school. And through a partnership with Burrell and our faculty, that pathway will be established. So freshmen entering the same year, 2024, if they are interested in going to medical school and attending Burrell, if they take the prescribed courses, earn the grade point average that's part of the agreement, they will be guaranteed admission into the Burrell Medical College. So we're very excited about that and grateful to have that opportunity for our students.
Yes, ma'am. Microphone coming to you.
I'm so excited to hear that you're actively and progressively thinking about balancing what your healthcare workforce looks like to match the community. I think that's very insightful. I'm curious about what your vision and approach for that is here locally, as just kind of tailgating on what you said about pathways.
Is that question for me or?
For you,
okay.
Yes, for you, sir.
So in healthcare in addition to physicians?
Yes.
So we're going through regional accreditation as a medical school. Once we graduated our first class, we were then able to apply for regional accreditation with the Department of Education, who has regional accreditors. And we're going through the Higher Learning Commission for that accreditation. Nationally, it used to be that you could only be accredited in a region that you were physically located. But now you can choose any regional accreditor. The Higher Learning Commission does the regional accreditation for our region, but it will carry over to Florida. We anticipate that's going to be obtained at the earliest 2025. And we're already in strategic planning at looking as an organization at other allied health related programs. And again, same process. work with our educational partners, our hospital partners, our clinic partners, what are the needs, other programs, because we don't want to duplicate or dilute other programs. We want to respect other programs. For example, at New Mexico State, they have a robust nursing program. We are not going to do a nursing program, but that's the only health science program they have, so they're excited. We're looking at all other types of health science-related programs, and that can carry over here as well.
Thank you for that question. We might have time for one more. We have it. Right, sir? Yes. Two more.
I would like to know more about the history of Burrell's commitment to diversity in the recruiting of students and then placing those students in communities that are underserved. How did that emerge in 2013, and how do you see it tying into our, at Florida Institute of Technology's, commitment to bringing more people into science, technology, and engineering?
Well, thank you for that question. Yeah, it's a cornerstone of our history and development. I could probably write a book on that. I'm going to try to be brief here on the history. It really started when I met our founding dean, Dr. Machescu, and he came to town, and we formed a relationship and a partnership. The mission of our medical school has fundamentally not changed since then. Having been in Las Cruces for 23 years and raising our children there, and it is a diverse community. It's an exciting community, and it has the aerospace, it has agriculture, university town. And the mission that we formed with our local stakeholders was to what could we do to move the needle to increase the percentage of underrepresented minorities in medicine. And the national average is plus or minus 10 to 12% range of underrepresented minorities in medical schools. We were recognized, if you look over the last 4 years, we're number 2 in the nation among all osteopathic medical schools in percentage of underrepresented minorities at 25%. It sounds low, depends on how you look at it, but it's high compared to medical education. That's both MD and DO when you look at that 10 to 12% on that as well. So the focus on that was really the mission, speaking to the mission, interviewing to the mission. We survey our students on a regular basis, and the number one reason why they said that they were interested in our school was our mission of diversifying the physician workforce. I always say this when I do welcomes for applicants. I say, if everybody in this medical school looked like me, this would be the most boring place to be. And only through diversity do you add strength as an organization. But just as much as diversity is important as inclusiveness. We're very inclusive. We have diversity in culture, diversity in religion, diversity in political thought, public policy. It's everyone's welcome. We don't think one way as an organization. So we foster diversity in so many ways. We just think that's healthy from that standpoint. So it really comes down to the mission, is what I'm saying, and planning to the mission and recruiting to the mission. On that, we still have our work cut out with faculty. All medical schools do, to increase diversity in faculty. I hope someday when I retire, that the future leader of the organization represents the community that we're operating in. But it has to be the right person and the best person to do that. And so we don't lower standards. We keep standards high, but we provide the support that's needed to obtain those standards.
We have time for one final question.
My name is Harsh Mehta, and indeed, very exciting time for the local community here with what is being announced today. So my question is more towards probably the long-term future goal, and that is would there be some kind of synergy between existing Florida Tech departments in engineering, chemistry, physics, to create biomedical engineering, biochemical, biophysical type of research in synergy with the medical school?
Thanks for the question. I'll be happy to address that one. We have been discussing with Florida Tech faculty through Dr. Carvalho, President King, to explore not just our students working with Florida Tech faculty on their research endeavors, but we have also been discussing the possibility of combined degree programs. And so that if a DO PhD or a DO master's program is something that both of the partners are interested in pursuing, and I think I can say we are, then those combined degree programs would be part of the conversation going forward once we are further down this path in this partnership. Thank you.
So if I may add, Mr. King highlighted several of our exciting programs and the faculty expertise. We have several faculty actually who have keen interest in medical research, and I think this will also help us establish those collaborations and research opportunities.
I would just add that the wonderful coincidence of, and I don't want to say it was serendipity, but the coincidental relationship with Burrell and the just recently opened Gordon Nelson Health Science Building works beautifully. We have this incredible new facility. The equipment and the people and the research that's going on in there are state-of-the-art. And I think that the timing is just right. So as the medical school gets up and running and your faculty comes and joins us, these opportunities, I think, will emerge organically with just the proximity of all of the talent that they bring and the talent that's here on Florida Tech's campus.
Very good. And that concludes our time for questions. Any final comments from anyone on our panel? Okay.
Just on behalf of our college, again, we're just so excited to be here, and I really want you to hopefully can stay a little bit to meet members of our team. We want to meet you as well, but we'll be coming back a lot, and we'll be building our team. So again, just thank you for your warm hospitality, and we're excited to be here and excited about the future. Thank you.
That is going to conclude our formal program. We appreciate everyone coming today. We will facilitate some photographs up here in the front of the room and have our folks available to the media if you would like to step up to the front, our elected officials as well, so that we can do some photographs. Again, thank you so very much.